Guys, what is that? Is it getting bigger?
Or closer.
First of all, congratulations with Transformers 1. As I said, it was an absolute joy to watch, and I cannot wait for Transformers fans to experience it on the big screen. It's unlike anything we've seen as Transformers fans before, so I think everyone is in for an absolute treat. And obviously, as a producer, you've had such a rich history with the Transformers. What excited you most about developing Transformers 1?
There were two things. First of all, the story of two best friends who become mortal enemies was irresistible. And we started talking about it right around the time we started talking about the second movie. So we've been talking about it a long time. First we were like, we gotta make it live action, we gotta figure this out, and then eventually it was like, there's no way to do this live action. That was, I think, in many ways, it was just the sheer beauty of the story. But the thing that also really appealed to us was no one has ever touched Orion Pax and D16. And so providing a understanding of the characters after 40 years to the audience was pretty cool, And I know for myself, I've been living with them for a long time. I know them differently now.
Yeah.
A cave with teeth. Nothing scary about that.
I'm gonna need you to talk less.
Holy Primus.
I see strength in you. Take these and access your full potential.
It was such an exciting experience being able to witness an origin story and actually seeing the development just unravel. It was so natural. You could see the progression from Orion to Optimus, from D16 to Megatron. It just flowed beautifully. And one of the things you touched upon was about the potential of doing it live action. Obviously that wasn't entirely feasible, but because this is the first time we've explored Cybertron fully, what was the design process like with ILM? How did those sort of conversations go?
Well, our production designer really, and our director and myself and a few others really sculpted, I'll say, the sort of the look. ILM, of course, contributed to it, but the design aspect of it really came out of the production group. And what we were really focused on is there was two things we were focused on. One is, if these guys are willing to fight about a planet, it must be pretty nice, right? Like, not this post-apocalyptic desert thing that we do with every alien planet. So, in a way, that was one of the driving forces. And the other for us was, we're tired of the alien post-apocalyptic. It just doesn't offer you a lot of choice. And so gradually what happened is we got more and more colorful, because as we pushed in that direction, we were like, okay, this is working. Let's keep going. Like, how do we get purple in here? And how do we? And so I think it's a pretty magnificent looking planet.
It felt like a character in it itself, because of how, brought to life it was. You had so many different avenues to explore, and I love the fact you really got into some of the key locations and whatnot. As a Transformers fan, there was stuff to look at in every single frame of animation. It was, it's one of those films where you've got to look at it and watch it a few more times just to really...
Well, there are Easter eggs in there, but there are even more than Easter eggs in there, because, like, as somebody who's lived with this, like, one of the fun things about the ILM folk they're all hardcore fans too, right? And so, like, in that hallway where we have all the Sentinel's hallway, where we have those magnificent things, apparently in episode 14 something, those things are literally lifted creatively from that. And we were like, okay, why are the things up there? Well, in episode 14, and you're like, okay, this is awesome.
It's built for fans, by fans, and I mean, just to kind of wrap up, we've had Rise of the Beast, we've got the G.I. Joe crossover coming, and we've got Transformers 1. Where would you like to see the franchise go next? Is there another area it could transform into?
Well, it's a good question, and usually we don't spend a lot of time thinking about the next one until we complete it, in part because, and it's different than a lot of the way people have managed these bigger sets of films, because we like to get the feedback from the audience before we start plunging down a particular direction. I think that's helped us be successful, is that we were not presumptuous enough to say we know exactly where we're going to go each time. We have like in Transformers 1, if we're lucky enough to have a sequel to that, we have a very strong idea of what's going to happen between Megatron and Optimus, that relationship is by no means settled. So there's a lot to explore on an emotional level. So, we don't know the plot, we don't know exactly, but we know that. And I think when we do the crossover, it's going to allow us then to do G.I. Joe. So the crossover will happen, then a Joe movie will happen, and then another Transformers movie. So I'm not sure which area, but I know we're going to keep exploring new characters when we can. It's a great thing that we have. I always say Optimus and Bumblebee are Batman and Robin. It's also a curse in that you have to have them in it, so you can only put so many new ones in.
Exactly. Thank you so much. And yeah, I can't wait for everyone to experience Transformers 1.
Great.
And thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me about it.
Pleasure. I'm glad you liked it so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching, Super Friends. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to hit the subscribe button just down below and hit the bell so that you can get notified whenever we release brand new videos. In fact, there's 2 more waiting for you to watch right here below. So what are you waiting for? Why not click play?